and welcome, genties and ladlemen. It is in fact your boy, Draw for Death Metal here, and we have got episode 48. 48 episodes of me being autistic on main chat. What the fuck is going on here? But this is episode 48 of Cracking the Shell. If this is your first time tuning in, this is where I go behind the scenes of all the stupid noises and blast beats and Christ knows what else of all the cool folks in the Scottish and wider UK metal scenes. And today I'm honoured to be joined by Mr. Jamie Mitchell of the Bleached, formerly of Mutilith. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. So, as I like to do in this show, and before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything you've
Hmm.
got coming out and what you're doing, is just find out how did we get here, kind of origin story, if you will. So finding
Hmm.
music, finding metal, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, essentially, it was like a sort of long process of like sort of discovering my music taste. I think it definitely started in like my sort of pre-teen years. I was quite into sort of pop punky type stuff, but like quite sort of mainstream sort of
Hmm.
sort of pop rock. And then like I just slowly sort of got more and more into sort of alternative type stuff. Eventually discovered like emo. And then like from there really like I discovered metalcore, which was just like nuts to me at the time. Just like really, really heavy and like just completely different than what I was used to. And then it's from there, it was just like a pipeline. So it was just like from that to sort of like deathcore, like slam, black metal, just like all sort of subgenres. It just opened such like a huge door for me.
It is a massive rabbit hole, isn't it? And I find
Mm-hmm.
that it's weird that everybody kind of mentions pop punk and stuff like that, but I never really got into pop punk. I kind of,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like I kind of hopped over that ledge and then went straight to stuff like Korn, Slipknot, Disturbed, pre-bomb signing, obviously. Um, but I never really, I respect it, of course, Green Day and Bowling for Soup, all those kinds of bands. I respect what they do, but I just found it was never really for me. But fair play for being a kind of a gateway and obviously mentioning kind of metalcore as your first kind of toe dipping into the more extreme side of things. Do you remember your first reactions, first bands that made you go, "What the fuck is this?"
Um, I think probably Motionless in White, honestly.
Hmm.
I think they were one of the sort of first big ones for me. I just remember putting on Immaculate Misconception. I was just like, this is pretty nuts.
Yeah, you turn it off and you go, "What the fuck was that? That was horrible." But then you turn it on again and you listen to it and you listen to it again and again and again and it just, you know what? I like this. And then we end up going down that rabbit hole of what's got even more disgusting monster noises and how floppy kind of guitar strings go and stuff like that. But what point did you kind of realize that you wanted to be in a band, going from being a music fan to what to actually doing it?
um, I'm not really sure exactly. I just started, I think it was when I started to really get into black metal and I was just kind of fucking around at home and I was just like, let me just do this vocal thing. Let me just give it a shot. And
Yeah.
like it took a lot of practice, a lot of like, sort of just time more than anything, just like, looking into different techniques and figuring out my personal range and stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of curiosity more than anything. And I was just like, I just think it would be really fun to be on stage. And in fact, that was right, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. So obviously a lot of people will know you from Mutilith, as that's where I'd first met you. One of the first
Hmm.
Cracking the Shell episodes was with Aiden, which if you're out there, then thank you very much for doing that, Aiden. And I got the pleasure to catch you guys live with Bronak supporting Psy. That was
Hmm.
a lot of fun. How did you feel when you got that show offer? Because that's a huge band in black metal to open up for.
It was just quite a lot, really. We just weren't expecting it. Like, it was, as you said, like they're a very big band. So we were just like, absolutely. Like, we can't say no to that, really. Got
Mhm.
to give that a bash. Just have fun. Just do it the best we can.
Yeah. No, from what I had seen, it was definitely a lot of fun. That Bathory cover is still a standout for me as well. Did you all kind of agree on that Bathory song, or was there one that you really wanted to cover but they kind of vetoed?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think if memory serves, I'm pretty sure it was Aiden's idea. But I'm quite a big Bathory fan. I mean, I have like a little thing up there. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, I've always quite enjoyed Bathory. So I was like, yeah, sure, Bathory should be good. It'll be fun. People will know it. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also probably in my top three Bathory songs as well. The other ones being Woman of Dark Desires and probably Satan My Master. I would say that's my favorite one, but that was a really fun show and you played shows up and down the country and then obviously things happen with Mutalith. You can go into that if you like, or we can just skip ahead to kind of the very dark beginnings of the Bleached.
No, I mean, if you have any sort of questions about it, I'd be happy to talk about it if you wanted.
Yeah, no, 100%. Was it just the kind of everybody wanted to do different things and just kind of fizzled out from there? Was there beef, that kind of thing?
Um, yeah, it was a kind of mix of things, really. It happened kind of quite slowly, but also quite suddenly.
Hmm.
I think it was all of our first bands, really. So like there was a lot of like learning and growing that we had to do. And I think by the end of things, I think we just kind of grown past our initial sort of connection that brought us together. And as you say, we're just kind of wanting to do different things, and wanting to go in different creative directions. Um, they personally wanted to kind of veer off from black metal a little bit. And so I sort of stepped away from the band because of that. Um, wasn't necessarily my decision. I don't know if that's like public knowledge or not, but there's no bad blood necessarily. But yeah, it wasn't really my call to leave. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. We don't need to be starting beef. That's not something that
Oh, no,
like
no,
I
it's not.
condone. I mean, it's funny to laugh at from a distance, but nobody wants to be involved in conflict of their own free will. Let's be real here. It's not fun.
It was
But
over 2 years ago as well. So like I'm over it. Like it
yeah,
really.
yeah.
I don't want to dig anything up. I'm just yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's not what we try and do. We just like to kind of get an idea of how did we get to this kind of path. But not only have you been making moves with the Bleach, playing shows up in the north of the country, you've also got your design business as well, which the stuff I've seen on your Instagram, it looks really cool. I'll have all that linked in the description as well. If anybody needs any kind of logos or merch art, album art, poster art, whatever, then definitely hit my man up. He'll cook you up something nice. But when did you start getting into that kind of artistic side of things?
Well, funnily enough, that just started with Mutalith, really. Like, we just needed a logo. So I like there's like an old version. It's on a couple posters and stuff like that that I sort of made up. It was kind of inspired just by like various black metal logos that I liked at the time. Um, and then I think from there, I just after a while it passed, I was like, I kind of want to do like an updated version of the logo. I want to do like some bits differently. I want to kind of make it cleaner, make it look sort of heavier, just to
Yeah.
fit the direction that we'd ended up going in. So then I just redesigned it. And then, yeah, just kind of from there, I just did logos for my own stuff. And then I just started reaching out to friends and stuff like that and being like, hey, I can do a logo for you. I'll do like a mate's rate. I'll, just mess around with it. So that's kind of how it started, really. But I really enjoy it. It's very, very satisfying for me, and I love doing it.
That's cool. Was there any kind of particular pieces that kind of got you really inspired in the beginning? Because obviously, black metal has a massive spectrum of art from stuff that looks genuinely beautiful, like Emperors in the Night Side Eclipse, and then you've just got goofy shit like half of Immortals album covers, which is just everybody make a stupid pose. Nah. But was there particular covers that really get you like, oh, I want to do something like that?
Um, well, it's got to be it's got to be Transylvanian Hunger by Darkthrone, really. Like
Yeah.
I do painting. a lot, and it's mainly like high contrast black and white stuff. I mean, there's one behind me there.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that kind of like harsh black and white sort of tone just like really appealed to me, and it just seems to be something that I really enjoy doing. So I think that one is probably an album for me that like inspired my visual aesthetic for stuff.
Yeah. And what kind of on the subject of Dark Throne,
Hmm.
obviously there's the original, like the OG3 Black albums. Um, but would you say there's one that you like that's a left field one, like you wouldn't expect like your typical black metal fan to like?
Um, Not necessarily. I mean, I think all their albums are really strong. Like, I like the sort of more deathy doom style that their debut had. I think the album, I forget its name, but the one between Transylvanian Hunger and Panzerfaust, with the sort of cover of the mountain, that one I really like. I think that's a really underappreciated one
Hmm.
in their discography. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to look that up
I think
because the
it's,
name's there. I just can't think.
hmm, I think it's
Under a
called.
Funeral
Oh,
Moon, I think. Or was that before that?
wait, I think I have a physical copy. One sec.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's gonna annoy me because I know the album, I can see it, but I just can't get the name now.
it's Total Death. This one,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Great.
Total Death. That's the one.
That's a good one. I for sure I'd say it'd be really hard to pick a favorite for me. I would say probably either Panzerfaust or oh, what's that one that's how is the name escaping me? I was listening to it yesterday. But it's the one that came out in like 2013. That one's incredible. Really
uh,
kind of a late career one.
Astro Fortress, is it?
Couple before that, because there was
Oh,
Astro Fortress, then there was Old Star,
Old Star. Hmm.
Arctic Thunder. It was the one before Arctic Thunder. That's the one that's I'd say my
Hmm.
favorite. I can't
Is that the
remember.
one with the cave on the cover?
Yeah, it's got the
Hmm.
cave and they've got the it looks like a Victorian Renaissance painting, I think. I
Hmm.
can't remember the name of it, but that one I would say is my favorite. But would you say there's a particular kind of style to black metal that you find most appealing? Because obviously you've got the very raw, true with a V, obviously, kind of underground stuff. You've got the more symphonic leading stuff like Dimmu Borgir or Cradle and the
Hmm.
hundreds of other bands that sound like them. But is there a particular one that you find the most appealing?
I've never really been too big on symphonic, to be honest. I like the odd bit, but it's not really something that appeals to me personally. But I'd say in the beginning, I definitely catered more toward like sort of second wave stuff, like raw black metal or like Emperor stuff like that. But I think
Hmm.
nowadays I like Blackened Death a lot and war metal
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a few in that kind of category. I like, obviously, Belphegor is the main one.
Mm,
Antichrist Siege Machine, if you kind of lump them in there, because they've got the black metal aesthetics, but definitely they've got that more kind of bestial death grind sound to them. They
mm,
were, that's the first band I'd seen that actually frightened me because you're just seeing their drummer doing these insane fills and blast beats while also doing vocals. And I'm just
mm.
going, what did he snort before getting on stage? You know? Like that's the thought I could think of. But moving on to the Bleach, which is your kind of thing going on now, what kind of obviously after Mutalith kind of fizzled away, what was your first kind of mindset going into the Bleached?
Well, initially it was going to have a lot more goth influence, because I'm very, very heavily into my metal, but I also love goth to bits. Like both of them are like huge, huge genres for me. And I'd just been practicing and experimenting with my cleans a lot and just kind of leaning into the sort of gothic sound of clean vocals. And so originally with the Bleached, it was going to have a lot more of a gothic sound to it. We have one song on our set that we play quite a bit called Death Waltz that does have like a sort of gothic death sort of sound to it. Um, but generally, we've kind of moved away from that a little bit. But that's one of the reasons that we have the in our name is because when I was naming the band, I sort of took the goth thing in mind when I was naming it. And so the it was just because a lot of goth bands will have a the at the start of it, like The Cure, the Sisters of Mercy, etc. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And obviously, you've kind of been focusing on more of the live aspect of things, playing shows up and
Hmm.
down. There's a lot of clips on YouTube as well. I'll leave a couple in the description for those that want to check it out. But what's the kind of plan in terms of actually putting music out there currently?
Well, currently we're in the midst of recording our EP. We've had guitars and bass sorted for a little while. I think it's either sort of later this week or sometime next week. We're getting drums recorded. Fingers crossed. It's been a bit of an issue with scheduling, but then after that, we're going to do vocals and then it'll do all the post stuff. So I'm hoping it's out like the next sort of 2 months. I hope.
Yeah. What kind of what kind of style would you say this is going to kind of represent? Because obviously you had said it started with more of the kind of gothic tendencies in mind, but you kind of moved away from that. What other kind of styles have you been kind of bringing in as the band's evolved?
Um, Honestly, it's just been getting heavier, is the main thing I can say. Um, but with this EP, it's very like Black and Death, but with elements of deathcore as well, really. Just kind of like mixing a bunch of shit together that we just think sounds cool.
Well, that's got me sold. Anything involving deathcore, I'm sold. But speaking of that, there is another project that you have that's been pretty quiet for
Mhm.
different reasons, but there's also Ineligible Logo, which 10 out of 10 name. What what's kind of going on with that? I love the logo design. I love kind of logos that take the piss with that. Sanguisugabog, Zavleg, prime examples of, yeah, you're definitely not gonna read this, bro. So
Uh,
what's going on with Ineligible Logo?
well, it's kind of been a long time coming. Essentially, myself and Danny from Oceans on Fire, we'd like joked for like since the Mutilith days about starting like a sort of jokey slam deathcore side project just for like ages. We just sort of referenced it. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna like make a group chat. I'm gonna make a logo and it's gonna like actually sort of get going. It's a side project for everyone, which is why it's so quiet at the moment. Like we haven't even rehearsed yet as a group, honestly, but it should hopefully be happening very very soon. And yeah, we funnily enough, we had a promoter reach out to us just purely off of our name. He just found it funny, and he was like, "Could we get you guys for a show?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we just can't gig right now, but like we really appreciate the offer, you know."
Yeah. And obviously it being kind of a piss takey deathcore slam project, what kind of
Hmm.
bands have you been taking influence from for that side of things?
Um, well, the plan is to sort of take influence from bands like Party Cannon or Raised by Owls, like that sort of thing. Like very ironic, very silly, but also like sort of quite heavy. Like I think we are planning on doing a cover of Unanswered by Suicide Silence.
Yeah. That'll be sick. That'll be sick. I'm looking forward to that. Just kind of hearing all that thrown into a blender, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's literally just like the four of us like having fun. So it's myself. There's Danny from Oceans on Fire. There's his wife Karine, and then also Care from Oceans and the Bleached. So it's like the four of us really.
That'll be cool. And it's cool to hear that it's going to be something that's going to be played live as well. Because normally a lot of people will go the let's be Infant Annihilator, make completely inhuman parts that nobody's going to be able to play in their right mind. But no, it'd be cool to hear pretty much anything that you do live. Because again, I was really impressed with your stage presence and your vocal prowess with the Mutilith. And I know that's you've only going to have gotten better since then. So definitely either of those shows, if I can make it, I'll be there. Um, but on the kind of more deathcore, slammy front, I've noticed that there's been a big split in terms of deathcore recently, in terms of the sound. You've got like your Lorna Shores, your Slaughters, all that kind of stuff on one side, and then you've got a lot of the kind of old MySpace like revival stuff, like Psycho Frame, Mauled, Reverent.
Hmm.
Do you kind of dip your toe into both camps, or do you have a one that you prefer?
Uh, I'd say generally I do much prefer like the older style. Like Suicide Silence, I absolutely love, and like really got me into heavier music. Um, I like the odd bit of modern deathcore, but I just don't like the way that it's done. I think like it's just flat. It falls really flat for me, and like it's just a little too overproduced sometimes. Like it honestly just comes down to that. And like I know that's not necessarily a new complaint. That it's brought up by like a lot of people, but like I do stand
Yeah.
by that really. Like it just a lot of it kind of just loses it, just being too sort of not even just clean, but just overproduced. You know.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. This is something that I've been kind of saying to people is the way that Josh Schroeder, who's kind of been the main guy for a lot of modern deathcore, he's
Mm.
becoming very quickly like Scott Burns did in the 80s and 90s, where everybody's going to go to him and every album's going to start sounding the exact same. And that's why anytime I hear something that's been produced by somebody different, like Mental Cruelty, prime example, they put out a song last year that was mixed by, I think, Dave Otero, and I'm going, oh, thank God it's somebody different. It's not Joe Schroeder. And there's nothing wrong with his production. I think it's fine. It's just when everybody's doing it, everything just starts to turn into breakdown soup. And I like things to sound different.
Mm.
That's just me personally. So I definitely agree with where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think just like too many bands, especially in the sort of deathcore scene, are like just trying too hard to have the next sort of wow moment of like, oh my God, have you heard this breakdown? It's like you can't force that. Like whenever that's happened, it's happened
Yeah.
quite naturally, like Till the Hellfire. Like they didn't know that song was going to be as big as it was. And it but it did,
No?
it struck a nerve. And it's like, they were just trying to just do new things with their, new vocalist at the time, Will. And it's like you can't really manufacture that. You just have to just, play what you want to play and not try and cater too much to like reactionary content as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I do sometimes wonder what would have been like to have been a fly on the wall at that kind of like the writing process for that song and just
Mm.
hear those weird like demon pig noises and then just be like, do that again. That has to have been the thing. It's just he goes in there, he just goes in and does a and they're just like, do that again.
I'm sure he was also like just quite keen to make a good impression because he just sort of
Mm.
joined. So I think he was probably just going nuts on that one just to just make sure that he was going to hold that position in the band as well, I presume.
Oh yeah, 100%. And saying that, I don't think you could have got any worse than an alleged, bang letters, alleged wife beater. Because,
Yeah, that is unfortunate. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Adam D'Amico briefly from
mhm.
Lorna Shore and just talking to him just briefly. But he was a very sound guy and like very like happy to just sort of talk to me for a minute.
Yeah. And that's good. And that's something that it is like kind of heartwarming to see because you hear a lot of stories of egos and, oh, this guy's a dickhead and just didn't stop speak to people. Like prime example, Ingested was that you never saw anybody else. You always saw Jason, and that's why he had the most connection with the fans. I think I saw Sean for like maybe 5 minutes out of the 6 times that I'd seen them, and even then he didn't say anything. He just fucking went to the venue, which you know. But that's why Jason's the best. Let's be real here. I am slightly biased though. That episode is in the tank. That was a lot of fun. That's probably my longest one as well at nearly 2 hours,
Oh
which
wow.
is kind of mad. The rest of them kind of sit on average about an hour, 50
Hmm.
minutes, I would say. It's hard because you don't want to, and I'm sure it's the same thing with like writing songs and stuff like or creating art. It's when do you know when you're done?
Hmm.
That kind of thing. Has there ever been in any kind of project that you've done, ever been that kind of struggle of am I done? Could I do more? Is this too much? When do you think is best for you to just either like put the pen down or put the brush down or that kind of thing?
Um, Generally, it's like when I've been like sort of doing something for too long, whether that's like painting or drawing or writing, and it's like I start to really nitpick it or like be perfectionist about like the way that I'm looking at it. Like if I ever gets to that point, I normally just like have to force myself, just stop and just go for a walk or just do something else, just to get my mind away from it because I am very self-critical of my own work, especially like after I've just done it. I think like as time passes, I can look back and be like, oh, that was good. But like as it's just happened, sometimes I'm like very, very critical of things.
Yeah.
So I just kind of have to force myself when I realize like that I'm in this wrong headspace to, just sort of take a step back, really,
Yeah. And what kind of stuff do you do? You mentioned walking, but what other stuff do you kind of do to kind of get away from things? Any particular hobbies, anything on that kind of
Uh,
sort?
hmm. I like I mean I'm a big fan of like film, really. Like I love the sort of escapism of it. Just kind of engrossing myself in like a fictional story, a fictional world. Um, and my best mate, he does short films, and sometimes he'll get me in just to play like a role or whatever. So that's quite a lot of fun. I enjoy that, just kind of taking on a different persona.
Do you have any particular persona that you would love to play in either like a short film or a music video or even in just like, we were
Mm.
talking about the kind of satirical elements of like Party Cannon and Raised by Owls, even particular, like even doing a skit or something like that? Is there a particular role that you would really engross yourself in?
Well, one that there's like, he hasn't sort of posted about it yet, but like, as I said, my best friend George, he has a YouTube channel called Jorge OK, and he makes like various short films and stuff like that. And we've recently been developing like a sort of fan film of sorts for The Crow that's like very heavily inspired by some of the comics, but putting like our own spin on it. And that film for me is like one of my favorites. I've gone as the Crow multiple times for Halloween, for example. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's kind of like a very, very exciting role for me.
Yeah. That'd be cool if that ever happens, then definitely I'll definitely share the hell out of it. Same with pretty much anything that you're doing when that Bleached EP comes out, when if you put anything out with an eligible logo. But I love that you're kind of covering the gamut of every kind of project, which
Mm.
leads to, is there something that you haven't done yet that you'd love to do? Either in the musical front or the art front or film front, anything that you haven't done yet that you would love to do.
I mean, I would I would really like to eventually do some sort of goth music, whether that's like by myself, like as a little solo side project, or just like with some other people. Like, yeah, it's like I'm not at all unhappy with the fact that that kind of got sort of moved away from with the bleached, but like just at some point, I'm in no rush really. Like I've got my hands full at the moment, but eventually it would be really cool to do some sort of like goth rock, death rock sort of thing for sure.
Ah, that would be really cool. Obviously, I know you for your incredible screams, but I'm looking forward to kind of hearing the softer side of your voice as well.
Mm.
Like I was saying earlier, you definitely have the stage presence for it. You have the vocal prowess for it. So I'm looking forward to see how you evolve as an artist in, well, any capacity really. But before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to shamelessly plug, announce, shout out, anything?
Uh, Well, yeah, I mean, again, like I said earlier, like shout out to my mate George, Jorge OK. He does short films, sketches, or music videos and stuff like that. He did our video for Death Waltz on our YouTube channel, just the bleached. That was a great video. Shout out to Illegible Logo, my little side project, and to what was it? Oceans on Fire, of course. I work with those guys. Their drummer is our drummer, so shout out to them. Like awesome metalcore. We should be having the Bleached EP out soon-ish. So stay tuned for that. Should be
Yeah.
good.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And if you guys like anything that you've heard that Jamie's doing, whether it's on the artistic front or the musical front, I will have everything about him linked in the description. Have his Instagram, Ineligible Logo, the Bleached, Dark Cthulhu Designs as well. He may or may not be working on something for me. We'll just need to see. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. You just keep your peepers peeled, folks, for pretty much everything. But I'd like to thank all of you so very much for watching. If you like what you hear, do the YouTube stuff of like, comment, subscribe. The whole thing of feeding the algorithm. Nobody likes to do it, but we need to do it. Let's be real here. Thank you very much to Jamie for taking time out of his busy schedule to sit down with me and just chat about art, music, and why it's cool. And that's the thing I kind of want to have people take away from this episode, and well, every episode I've done, is that human conversation is an art form in and of itself. And in an era where technology is so readily available, treasure the face to face, or, well, kind of face to face that we're kind of doing. Treasure those conversations because there's nothing quite like them. But that being said, thank you again for watching. Everything about GM will be linked down below, and I will see you all on the next episode. Peace and love. Mwah!